Hello students, welcome to the SPI online class of class 10 history, and we were discussing on the chapter number 2, nationalism in India. Today we will resume the chapter discussion and the first point, the Salt March and the civil disobedience movement. Mahatma Gandhi found that salt was a powerful symbol that could unite the nation. He wrote a letter to Viceroy Irwin urging 11 demands, which included the demand to abolish the salt tax, the tax on salt, and the government's monopoly over its production revealed the most cruel side of British rule. But Irwin was not ready to talk upon the demand. Then Gandhiji took the decision to launch the movement. Then the civil disobedience movement. Along with 78 followers, Gandhiji started his famous Salt March from Sabarmati Ashram on 12th March 1930 for Dandi, the coastal town of Gujarat. The volunteers worked for 24 days, about 10 miles a day, and on 6th April Gandhiji reached Dandi and ceremonially violated the salt law. He manufactured salt by boiling seawater. This marked the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. As the movement spread, foreign clothes were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, peasants refused to pay revenue and chowkidari taxes, village officials resigned. In many places, forest people violated forest laws. Worried by the ongoing movement, the colonial government began arresting the Congress leaders one by one. Next point, calling of the civil disobedience movement. When a prominent leader, Abdul Ghaffar Khan, was arrested on April 1930, angry crowd demonstrated in Peshawar and several violent incidents were reported. A month later, when Mahatma Gandhi himself was arrested, industrial workers in Solapur attacked police posts, municipal buildings, law courts and railway stations, all structures that symbolized British rule. Peaceful Satyagrahis were attacked, women and children were beaten, and about 1 lakh people were arrested. In such a situation, Mahatma Gandhi once again decided to call off the movement and entered into a pact of Irwin on 5th March 1931. Next point, relaunching of civil disobedience movement. In December 1931, Gandhiji went to London for the Round Table Conference, but the discussion was of no use and he returned disappointed. Back in India, he found that Abdul Ghaffar Khan and Jawaharlal Nehru both were in jail. The Congress had been declared illegal. So Gandhiji, with great apprehension, relaunched the civil disobedience movement, but by 1934 it lost its momentum. But how participants saw the movement? Different social groups participated in civil disobedience movement for different ideals or reasons. Meaning of Swaraj was also different for them. Number 1. In the countryside, rich peasants communities like the Patidars of Gujarat and Jats of Uttar Pradesh were enthusiastic supporters of the civil disobedience movement. They organized their communities to participate in boycott programs. As depression continued, the poor peasantry found it difficult to pay their rent to the landlords. They joined a variety of radical movements, often led by Satyagrahis and communists, in the hope that they would not have to pay the rent any further. Point number 3. Associations like Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress and Federation of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries under the leadership of G.D. Birla, Purushottam Thakur, Das, etc. supported the civil disobedience movement in the hope that business restriction would be lifted. Point number 4. The industrial working classes did not participate in civil disobedience movement in large numbers except in the Nagpur region. Point number 5. Another important features of this movement was the large-scale participation of women. In urban areas, women came from high-caste families, and in rural areas, women came from rich peasants' households. Women were inspired by Gandhiji's call, and they began to see service to the nation as their sacred duty. The next point, the limits of civil disobedience. All social groups were not moved by the concept of Swaraj. One such group was the untouchables, who began to call themselves Dalit around 1930s. The Muslims also could not relate to this movement. For a long time, the Congress had ignored the Dalits for fear of offending the Sanatanis, the conservative high-caste Hindus. Gandhiji called Dalits Harijan, or the children of God. Gandhiji believed that the Swaraj would not come for 100 years if untouchability was not eliminated. He organized Satyagraha for them to secure their entry into temples and access to public wells, tanks, roads, and schools. Gandhiji himself cleared the toilets to dignify the work of Bhangi, the sweepers. He urged the upper class to change their mindset regarding the untouchables. So students, today's discussion is up to here. We will continue the chapter discussion in our next class. Thank you.